Hi, I'm Diana Deblanc. I am a large animal veterinarian. I have a veterinary practice called Performance Equine Veterinary Services, which is solely based around horses and increasing their athletic ability. With that, I have some specialty training that involves chiropractic and acupuncture for both horses as well as dogs, as I started competing my dogs in agility, and that has made a lot of people want me to work on them. I have always had a fascination for rhinoceros. Even as a little child, I drew them and just thought they were the most amazing thing. I had my first opportunity to work with them when I was in veterinary school, when a baby from the Denver Zoo came in with, unfortunately, a fatal disease. But it gave me my first hands-on opportunity to work with rhino. And then in 2017, I was going through some big life changes, and I decided that I was going to start focusing on the things in my life that I wanted to accomplish. And with the help of a book club, I made my first travel plans to go to Africa to see rhino in the wild. And this is the beginning of 3 pretty amazing things happening in my world. The first one, I went to Care for Wild Rhino Sanctuary and volunteered for them for 2 weeks. And that involved cleaning up a lot of poop and feeding baby rhino. And I was always taking on extra shifts and doing the night feeds and so forth. So in 2018, they contacted me and asked if I would come back and work for them for a period of time. So we decided that I would go for a 3-month period, which was our summer, their winter of 2019. So I went at the end of May and came back at the end of August. And during that time, I was solely responsible for all the animals on the sanctuary, the anti-poaching unit, dogs and horses, as well as taking care of any ailments that the rhinos had. And we had 2 rhino babies that came in as a result of poaching during that time. And it was during this time that I really realized how serious the crisis for rhino is. 3 rhino a day are killed in Kruger National Park, and they are killed for their horn, which is the same as our fingernails and toenails. And there is belief in the Asian culture that these horns are magical and cure everything from gout to erectile dysfunction. They also use it to mix with drugs, and it makes your value of cocaine much higher, even though you just put basically toenails in your cocaine. And it made me realize that if we don't do something and we don't stand to action, that the number of rhino has diminished so much that we are looking at complete extinction in the wild within 5 years. So during my time at Care for Wild, I met a lady named Kennedy Zakir, and she is the owner and founder of the Council of Contributors. And this is a group that primarily gives money to where it's needed with rhino. And I asked her if she could use somebody like me in her organization, and she told me there'd be no scalpels or surgery in my future, but let's see how things went. So I started doing public speaking at the beginning of 2020, which obviously is a horrible year to start your public speaking career. And in my first talk, we raised $1,600 for projects with the rhino, and she decided maybe I would be beneficial to have on her team. So over 2020, with different events through my practice, we've raised about $15,000. All of this money has gone into what we call the Vet Rhino Fund. And the Veterinary Rhino Fund helps veterinarians at the front lines on what they need to do to keep rhinos safe. So 3 really cool projects have already been paid for with the Vet Rhino Fund. One of them being the place that I worked at Care for Wild. We took care of all of their horses' needs in the spring. And if the horses aren't taken care of, then they can't protect the rhino. So it's still directly helping the rhino. The second is that there's another orphanage close by called the Rhino Orphanage. And we set up a blood bank, or blood database actually is more accurate. And this is really important because this has never been established before. And this way, if a rhino is sick, we have normals to go by, just like if we go to the doctor, and it helps us treat them more effectively. And the third, on January 1st of this year, unfortunately, the Manqui Reserve in South Africa had a terrible poaching incident where a mother and a baby were killed, and the primary bull for that reserve was shot through the shoulders. And his name's Luke. So we decided to pick up all of Luke's veterinary care. And this is really important. We have to keep these breeding bulls safe, because when the numbers are that low, we've got to make sure that we have every bull possible to help repopulation. And the third thing that happened this past couple years was after I got back from Africa, I was visiting with a new client while we were working on her horse, and I told her about my work in Africa, and she was a little stunned. And she said, "How can we help?" And her name is Michelle Kells, and she's a professor with UNM, and she asked me to come to UNM and lecture to her class. And this was right before everything got shut down with COVID. But her students were so open to the suggestions of helping the rhino that they decided to form their own little rhino conservation group. And with that, the Southwestern Environmental Education Cooperative has been born. And in this group, we are not only trying to do awareness for the rhino, and we're gonna do some projects, hopefully through the biopark, on endangered animal education, but also the plight of the rhino. Plus, this group does many, many, many amazing environmental projects that help New Mexico directly. So I'm pretty excited to be involved with them. So as I move forward, I'm not sure what the goals and plans are, other than Kennedy and I would like for me to return in 2021 at some point. And I would like to do 3 things, but I don't know the distance involved and so forth. But I would like to go to the Rhino Orphanage and meet them, since we set up the blood bank. I'd like to go meet Luke, the bull that we treated. And then the primary goal, I think, is for me to go to Kruger National Park and work with some of the veterinarians to do a dehorning project on some of the wild rhinos to try and help keep them safe. Thank you for your time and listening to me speak about rhinos and the conservation efforts that we are making toward them. If you would like to learn more, please feel free to reach out to me directly, or look at the Council of Contributors websites. There are also links on my website for contributing if that would be something you would be willing to do. Thank you.